How to get your neighbour to consent to a notice. When you serve a party wall notice to your neighbour, obtaining consent isn't always the best option. But if you are lucky enough to get consent, it saves you money and you don't have to go through the party wall process, which can be stressful and delay your build. Here are 10 tips to get consent.
Ensure drawings are clear. Show exactly what you plan to build. If you can't understand the drawings, you shouldn't expect your neighbour to. A good, clear, professional package coupled with a chat can really help get that consent.
Have a party wall surveyor check over the drawings to give you an appraisal. This should include identifying any issues that may make consent harder to achieve, such as projecting foundations or trespassing features. The drawings can then be amended prior to serving the notice to reduce the likelihood of dissent.
In some cases, people design out the party wall act, thinking they're being clever, but it is important to remember that the act gives the building owner rights that they wouldn't otherwise have. Access rights, for example, can be vital. Think about what you need for the build and convey this honestly to your neighbour.
Manage expectations. Explain to your neighbour what the build requires and how you will do it. For example, don't just say, "We need to take down the fence and come onto your land to build our extension." Instead say, "We will need access onto your land for 3 weeks to build our extension. We will put hoarding up for safety and security and to respect your privacy." Take advice from your builder or party wall surveyor so that you are better equipped to have this conversation. Make sure you manage your own expectations too.
Be transparent. Some people think less is more, but this generally isn't the case. A well-informed neighbour is likely to be appreciative, as opposed to a neighbour who feels sidelined and more inclined to get a surveyor.
Talk to your neighbour nice and early and keep them updated. Be aware that when you submit a planning application, your neighbour will receive unsolicited letters from party wall surveyors wanting to create a dispute to get some easy cash. These unscrupulous surveyors do not want your neighbours to consent and will make millions of pounds generating disputes, so be careful.
Neighbours are unique. Be flexible and think about what might work. In some cases, your neighbour may be vulnerable, so think about what support you can offer them. Communication is your biggest asset when trying to get consent. Be flexible, as what might work for one neighbour might not work for another.
Don't pressure your neighbour, because if they feel backed into a corner, they may want to get a surveyor who will handle the situation for them.
Ensure your notice package is fair. We've seen many examples of people receiving notices where the only option is to consent. To deprive someone of their right to appoint a surveyor can seem underhand, and we have had many people appoint surveyors because they felt the notice package was unfair and an attempt to dupe them into consenting. Let them know their options. Don't be evasive.
Consider hand-delivering the notices and perhaps take round a bottle of wine, some chocolates or flowers. A little tug at the heartstrings can go a long way. Emotion aside, it can cost £10 for a small gesture. If they consent though, you could save thousands. So make the chocolate good, or get some strong wine.
Words such as dispute and dissent sound adversarial, and the party wall process itself can be stressful.
If your neighbour dissents to a notice, it may be disappointing, but there are plenty of benefits to having a party wall award. Move through the situation positively and get the services of a good surveyor who will have your back. Try not to take it personally and just understand that neighbours simply respond differently, with many neighbours not consenting.
Good luck! We hope these 10 tips have been useful.